What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X, joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers, talk some NFL draft this evening. And Greg Ross already on me in here, boys. He says, Clay, how many times are you going to come into my pod late? Unbelievable, man. The stuff I put up with, I get tongue lashed every evening by our own crew here.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Boys, y'all think I don't have a life? It's true. I don't have a life. This is all I do, to be honest with you, man. I love doing this. So hopefully everybody had a great day. How was y'all's day, fellas?
Good, man. Happy to be here.
Good.
Talk a little ball. How about you there, Mr. Manscaped? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm dancing in the sheets, buddy. Did you have it was real nice. It was a little chilly, but it was very nice, sunny. I don't know how it was over there in the Green Bay, but on this side of the state, it was quite nice.
Yeah, it's getting nice over here. All the snow's melting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Speaking of Melton, Andy Watkins says, evening from sunny, chemtrail, smog-blanketed Rancho Cucamonga. There you go. All right, welcome to the chat.
That's where they filmed
All right,
Workaholics. Great show.
Let's jump into some breaking news real quick. Does that sound good to you guys?
Breaking news.
As our good friend Easton Butler over on X at Easton__Butler, Isaiah Bond will have a top 30 visit with the Green Bay Packers.
Here's a guy.
Before we look at the draft board here, gents, how do y'all feel about Isaiah Bond out of Texas? Obviously, that's Matthew Golden's teammate. Anytime you get two receivers, two edge rushers, two defensive tackles coming out in the same draft, you got to step back and go, all right, which one drew the majority of the attention, right? Which one maybe made it easier on the other one? Do you guys got any initial thoughts on Isaiah Bond before we look at the draft board here?
Of all the sub 6 foot receivers on my radar, Isaiah Bond's probably at the top of that list. I like him and Luther Burden third, and Jalen Noel would probably be my three favorite sub 6 foot guys. Isaiah Bond's, grades and numbers, they don't jump off the chart or anything. But if you watch a little tape on him, he is an interesting prospect for sure. So it's kind of cool that he's on the Packers' radar.
Got the nickname of LB3, they say. Pretty cool nickname.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Mr. Bond.
Oh, Jacob.
Isaiah Bond. Where's number 7? Not 007, but that'd be cool. I don't know, man. 2022 played 13 games, 58 grade. Like you that, Jan. 2023, 76-3, played 14 games. Very durable. He played 2024, also 14 games with a 68-9. His best year pretty much by far was 2023 at 671 yards, averaged 13 plus, and then had 4 touchdowns. But the contested catch rate was 27.3%. He had a drop rate of 5.6, receiving grade of only 70.3, and 1.78 yards per route run. I'm just not a big fan of what I see there. He is supposed to be very fast, but fast and not furious, apparently. He graded out somewhat well the first 5 games and then kind of fell off a cliff. It started in the 70s, high 60s, 80, 67, 78, and then it's 54, 62, 71, 63, 59, 52, 48, 42, 52, 48. So it just kind of fell off a little bit of a cliff there. And I don't know where you have him on your board there, Clay, but as far as anything before the 3rd or 4th round, I would be a pass on that.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've got Isaiah Bond in the 130 spot here. And as Prince says in the chat, Bond ran a 4.34 at his pro day. When you go to the RAS card, RAS is still incomplete, but they actually have him as a 4.39 on there. So blazing fast, 5'10.5", it looks like, 180 pounds. Got to put on about 5 pounds or else Packers Twitter will say there's no way the Packers are going to draft him. He's too small. Which is amazing how everyone said there's no way they're looking at slot receivers. They're going to go with a big receiver, and we're just meeting with Matthew Golden and some of these shorter receivers, right, which we know they can play outside for the most part. So,
sure.
Yeah, very interesting. Isaiah Bond is in the 130 spot. All right, here's how he got there. In 2022, his PFF grade, he was the 848th graded wide receiver. That's not good, Jacob. That's not good at all. In 2023, he jumped all the way to 116. And then last year, like you said, he fell back to 318th at his position. Now, the PFF Big Board at the end of the college football season had him in the 79 spot. The consensus Big Board had him sitting at 48. The 33rd team, Kyle Krabs, has him at 62 with his initial list, and Dane Brugler had him at 94. So if you were to just go off of Kyle Krabs and Dane Brugler, they're much higher on him than we are on our board, mainly because the PFF grades are what's pulling him down. So if I had to kind of put my stamp on it between our grade and looking at, like, say, Dane Brugler at 94, I'm with you, Jacob. This kind of feels like a fourth-round pickish, something like that, right? Would be my guess. So
yeah, I look at, so like PFF, you said at one point he was around the 70-ish, mid-70s. Their consensus.
Their big board, yes, 79th at the end of the college football season.
Okay, because he's fallen down on a 109, and if you look at just the grouping where he's at, Isaiah Bond at 109, Torrey Horton 135, Pat Bryant 152, Kyle Williams 160, Tesla at 166, and Nick Nash at 168. In that pocket, he is my least desirable out of the guys I just mentioned there. I'd much rather pull the trigger on a guy like Horton, Bryant, or even a Kyle Williams or a Isaac Tesla.
Got it. Tim, anything else you'd like to add to this this breaking news here, sir, with Isaiah Bond being on the Packers' radar?
Yeah, since I'm the only one high on him, I'll I'll go ahead and agree with you guys. I'm not saying he's a first round pick or anything, but I think outside of the fourth round and beyond, I think he can do a lot worse. And I think if they're looking at a guy like this, it kind of proves your point about Jaden Reed that Bird is more than a slot receiver. And if they're looking at adding depth in that position, chances are we're going to see Reed out wide a lot more in 2025. So something to look forward to. I mean, just because it's a top 30 visit doesn't mean that we're drafting the guy. But, I respect the point that he doesn't jump off the charts or anything. But there's certainly guys that are worse than him for sure in those mid to late rounds.
It's a hell of a way to say it. There's certainly guys who are worse than him.
There's guys.
I love the positivity. Drew D says LaFleur's offense is really built around guys or wide receivers that can separate, not the big 50-50 guys. That's a fact. And it's amazing how so many people don't want to accept that. It doesn't mean you wouldn't take a big 50-50 guy, right? But if the board falls right and he can run routes and play with a little flexibility in the slot and go to Z, go to X, do all the things you need him to do, maybe run a jet sweep or two like Christian Watson did his rookie year, which he excelled at. I think it's a great point, Drew, for sure, man. And again, we just got to stop trying to put everything into one group, into one, you know what I'm talking about? Like everybody tries to compartmentalize wide receivers as well because they're under 6 feet. Well, they've got to be a slot. That's simply not true. It isn't. And that's where you got to go look at the snaps, look at the success they had, look at the contested catch like Jacob just did, and see exactly – how everything kind of falls into place, which we're going to do a really, really cool exercise. We're going to wrap up our wide receiver breakdown here in just a second. It's going to be a blast. You guys know we have already talked about trying to zero in on the wide receivers this year and like which ones really pop to us. It's easy to just go, give me Tet McMillan, give me Matthew Gold. You know what I mean? And it's cool. We're going to take that extensive search that we've done up to this point, and we're going to break it down even further right now. Is there anybody else you want to see on the big board here in terms of wide receivers since we're talking about it? And then
I would just real quick would like to add to Isaiah Bond convo. Look at his slot snaps. They're in the minority. Most of his snaps were out wide. So if you're trying to put him in that box as a slot guy, I don't think they're looking at him that way.
Yeah, definitely. Jacob, anything you want to see on the board before we move on? And you guys can find this big board in our Patreon group. Just scan the QR code in the upper right, or just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. We make it accessible to anybody who's a member in there. One of the many, many perks there. Jacob, anybody you want to see here wide receiver wise while we're talking about it?
No, just to kind of put a pin in this, J. Cole says, I'm high on him too, time. I think he meant Tim. Great 4th or 5th round option. It reminds me of We Love You Long Tim.
It made me Love you long, Tim.
Love you long, Tim. Boobs.
All right, perfect segue. Let's start with some more receiver here, guys. All right, so I spent about. I'm embarrassed. I had to wait on it. I'm embarrassed to say how much time I spent working on this week, and this final this final part today took an hour, about 2 hours to put together to finish this up. You guys know how we talked about, all right, here's the top receivers listed in order on our PTA big board. We talked about that. And then we said, all right, what was a big deal this year? What was a problem for the Packers were the drop issues. Okay. So what's the other thing that Packers wide receivers struggled with? It was against man coverage. So last night we unveiled, okay, let's take the top PTA wide receivers in order anyway, all wide receivers on the board, put them in order, and then look at the drop percentage and see who pops. And we came out with 4 wide receivers. You guys remember that, right? Now we're taking it a step further with man coverage, okay? So here is the article we put together today. So one last piece to the wide receiver puzzle. We recently uncovered 4 players who truly jump off the page in drop percentage while sitting fairly high on the PTA big board. Those receivers and what pick they carry value at are Jaden Higgins at 54, Jack Besh at 87, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Now, let's add the final piece to the puzzle, and that is another weakness the Packers receivers struggle with in 2024, man coverage. Below, we have listed every wide receiver on the board in the order of their success against man coverage measured by their PFF grade against man. I had to decide between passer rating when in man coverage, like passer rating when targeted in man coverage, or go with the grade. I went with the grade because I feel like it's a little deeper than just the passer rating when targeted. And there's nothing wrong with cross-checking those two. But here it is. Look who's at the top of the list, boys. Receiving grade versus man coverage. On the far right over here is what you're going to look at. These are the columns we already worked on. On the far left is the PTA big board order. The middle is sorted by lowest drop percentage. And then on the right, we have receiving grade versus man coverage. At the top of the list, Trey Harris with a 95 grade against man coverage.
Here's the guy.
Second is Kyle Williams. No matter how many times I mute this damn phone, it still dings. Because, you remember the old days with the flip phones where you just turn the volume down and the volume turned down? Now you got 6 different volumes. I'm a boomer. That's what I am. I'm a boomer. I would say I'm my dad, but I don't even know if my dad has a phone, to be honest with you. Kyle Williams is second at 89.8 against man coverage. Third is Tetaroa McMillan out of Arizona, 89.1. You want to know why those two guys are getting the most hype, or not the most hype, but a lot of the hype? It's because they can win in man coverage and they're big-bodied receivers, right? Number 4 really surprised me. Elijah Badger out of Florida, right? Elijah Badger out of Florida, 88.5 against man coverage. Look at number 5, Tim. Read that to the folks at home.
Here's the guy.
That's all you need to know. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State at 87.8. Next, you've got Xavier Restrepo. He's still running his 40-yard dash. They're going to clock it soon.
Did you see he talked about that?
What's that?
Restrepo tweeted about that today.
What did he say?
He was talking about his hammy tightened up on him, and it's just one of them things. So I don't think that's I don't think he wants to take that 40 time to the bank. He's probably saying that he's a little quicker than that.
Yeah, I tell Mandy my hammy tightened up when I need to take the trash down to the road.
Sure.
I don't know. I just got maybe tomorrow. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. So Xavier Restrepo, 87.6. Listen, whether it was the hammy or he's just slow, he knows how to separate, he knows how to create space. There's no doubt about that. Jordan Watkins out of Ole Miss, 84.1. With Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart, they love those receivers, didn't they? You got 2 of the best at against man coverage coming out of Ole Miss this year. Andrew Armstrong out of Arkansas at 83.3. Nick Nash out of San Jose State at 82.1. Pat Bryant out of Illinois at 81.5. That rounds out the top 10. Is there anybody you want to try to find out where they're at on this list before we kind of unveil what we uncovered here?
Can you scroll down a little more?
Absolutely.
I'm going to look at Jalen Royals there, Igbuka, Tez Johnson, Ja'Cory Brooks, a couple guys, Luther Burden, some guys on the –
Jalen Knowles down there a little bit farther than I thought he'd be. Jack Besh, Torrey Horton.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's not bad. They have terrible scores or nothing, but we're getting to the point now. So with Deontay Thornton, that's getting into a little less than desirable. Rock Taylor. Okay. Matthew Golden. Wow.
Yeah, that was a big one for me, right?
Savion just keeps like he's falling farther and farther down.
Right. When you peel a couple layers back, right, you start to find
Bond.
Yep. So there's Isaac Tesla.
Oh man.
Toward the bottom, right? Look at Efton Chisholm. Well, never mind. We couldn't find a grade on him. I apologize. I looked everywhere. Those are the three guys we couldn't find one on. So, with that being said, right, here's the final word on this. Now that we have taken a look at success versus man coverage, several things become clear. Trey Harris and Ted McMillan are monsters against man, which, along with their size, explains why they carry so much value this year. However, Jaden Higgins once again separates himself from the pack with his 87.8 versus man. Jack Bech, while still solid at 72.4, comes in lower than Pat Bryant at 81.5. And Elijah Badger might be the most intriguing with this dominant 88.5 versus man coverage. With all that being said, each of these receivers would be great at their projected picks, but three really seem like great value, and they are Jaden Higgins at 54, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Any two of these combinations could reset the Packers wide receiver room for success against a glaring weakness. And, the reason I mention this, guys, is Jack Bech was on the last list. You guys remember? He was on the list because of low drop percentage. It doesn't mean Jack Bech isn't worth a third-round pick, which is right around where we've got him on our board. However, some people were saying he may go in the first. I'm hearing that now from Scout chatter. So he drops off the list now, and now we got it zeroed in on three wide receivers. Now, please don't kid yourself into thinking we are the only three people on the face of the earth that understands this. I guarantee you there are GMs and draft rooms and scouts all over the league that know this information. They may not last the 54, 124, and 198, to be honest with you. So you might want to be prepared to take these guys one round earlier, mainly Pat Bryant and Elijah Badger, because it is going to be hard to take Jaden Higgins in the first round, right? Although, if you remove the names and you just said, all right, look, here's what this unnamed player did against man coverage. Here's his drop percentage. Here's his size. Here's his measurables. Here's his speed. You probably go, damn, Jaden Higgins is a first-round pick. So let me get your all's thoughts. Let's go around the horn here. Let's have a little conversation about it. Let's see if we can figure out what's the best draft strategy for the Packers in terms of how to get at least one of these three players here.
D tackle in the first round, Jaden Higgins at 54. Let's go. In a perfect world.
Right.
In a perfect world. I don't see Goody going to the first round for a wideout. That's just
I don't either, man.
Yeah.
There's too much value after it, right? I mean, and with Ted McMillan, you look at him and you go, okay, yeah, he's great against man coverage. However, we talked about the drop percentage was like in the 7s, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but it ain't nowhere near Jaden Higgins at 2%. You got to be looking at that going, if you shoot your shot in the first round on a wide receiver, and now you kind of back yourself in the corner where you couldn't potentially take Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris I'm still on Trey Harris. Please don't take this the wrong way. You got to understand, guys play, what did we struggle against last year? It was man coverage. So why not go get Trey Harris, who dominated against man coverage, and work him into the offense? And now you've improved that aspect of your offense, and more specifically your passing game. And that could be a huge step in the right direction. We're just simply saying these three really did separate themselves. Jacob, thinking about a mock draft, right? Like if you were drafting right now, how would you try to position yourself to land one of these three? Or do you disagree with landing one of these three and think, I think I'd rather go this direction in the first round or maybe the second?
No, I kind of will piggyback slightly off what Tim said. I think what I would do in the first round is absolutely best man available with an emphasis maybe towards D-line and edge. If that is not there, if a Colson Loveland, if it's Pierce, if it's Mimbu, if it's something crazy like that we just, even if it's not a glaring need, you take the best guy available in that first round. You come around in the second, you either get Jaden Higgins or you get Trey Harris, whatever one's available. If that doesn't work, I would probably look for a cornerback in that situation, or again, best man available. I would start targeting at least either Jack Bech or Pat Bryant, probably right around that late second to third round. And if those guys don't go through, if you got nothing in the first 2-3 rounds, then I'm definitely targeting Pat Bryant, and I'm definitely going to be targeting Elijah Badger later in the later in like maybe 5th, 6th rounds kind of thing. I mean, it's not necessarily that, again, I hate going into a wide receiver or going into a draft saying we need to pick a wide receiver in the second. We need to do this in the third. It's
right.
When the draft gets done, we need to have had at least one shot at wide receiver. Like we need to, it doesn't necessarily, this gives us a good idea. So like throughout the draft, like Tim said, I don't think we're going wide receiver in the first. I think there's a really big, giant bullseye in the second and third rounds. But if for some reason we get through those rounds and it just didn't work out the way the board didn't fall the way we wanted to, I think it's great to find certain players like a Pat Bryant, like a Badger, even maybe a couple of these other guys that are kind of waiting in the wings a little bit later, like Jalen Royals, just some of those guys that you can kind of come back around and circle back and just make sure that you had a decent draft. But
yeah, we got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, I don't know how much of what we've talked about that you've heard. We're just kind of completing this exercise that I've been working on the last few days, where now what we've added, you got the PTA big board on the left with our wide receivers ranked there. We know you've got access to that board as well. In the middle is the receivers resorted at drop percentage, right? And then on the right, you have receiving grade versus man coverage. You can see the list there. You got Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, Ted McMillan, Elijah Badger again, Jaden Higgins rounding out the top 5 there. What do you think, man?
By the way, Emilio, congratulations.
Thank you, Jacob.
Here's
Not
the
for
guy.
Not sure what for, but I appreciate it.
Another Taco Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. One of the 52 I enjoy every year. Yeah, but no, it's good to see. I like that you've been breaking it down. I'm happy you put it into a table, Clay. That's huge. I'm glad we got that squared away. And yeah, listening to DJ and Ross and all them, you're hit or miss now on the wide receivers. I'm hearing Matthew Golden's probably first, going to be the number one first wide receiver to go.
It's crazy.
And they're thinking maybe only, one or two receivers could be going in the first round. It's just going to be a lot different. Out of the 30 that average, getting drafted each year, this is going to be a different draft. I think you can find a lot of talent, maybe not top end number one, but if it were to be the number one, it had to be Travis Hunter. Then you can go from there. But
right. Yeah. Look at Matthew Golden, man, in the 42 spot at 65.2 against man coverage. Isn't that wild? I mean, it's just crazy. So he's obviously just a zone demon. Don't get me wrong.
Did you say 65?
65%.
65%. That's correct, Sir Murphy. Also, Emilio, we broke some news here just a second ago through Easton Butler. Isaiah Bond is scheduled to be a top 30 visit. You got anything to add to that before we
probably just checking to see if that time that he said that he was going to run and didn't run is if he's able to do that, right? Let's get him on one of our stopwatches. Besides that,
439 is on the official RAS card. However,
did he say he was going to break 429 though?
Yeah. He said I thought he said he was going to break 4.2, like he was going to run a 4.1. I could be wrong though. So
I don't know.
No, you're right.
That.
You're right. He came out talking.
He came out talking, didn't back it up. So the Packers just got to confirm it. He could be one of the 2/3 that don't get drafted, but it is one of the targets. I think you just got to kind of know, pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah. Ron Sample in the chat says Jack Bech is going to go in the second round. I think he's the guy I'd love Goot to pick and then take another in the 4th or the 5th. And listen, I'm not down on Jack Bech. I think Jack Bech is going to be a good receiver. I really do. And when you look at where he's at on our board, on our PTA big board, right? I left that percentage up there. That's my fault. We have him in the 10 spot amongst wide receivers. So he's the 10th best wide receiver. And then if you look on the drop percentage, in the drop percentage, only 1.6% drop rate is just insane. However, against man coverage, like we had pointed out earlier here, Jack Bech is in the 27th spot at 72.4. It doesn't mean he can't get better at man coverage. It doesn't even mean 72.4 is that bad. But, boy, when you see Trey Harris and you see these guys at the top, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, and Ted McMillan, along with Elijah Badger and Jaden Higgins, that's crazy. Trey Harris, 95.0. is just nuts. That dude is
got that stickum on the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
You know what? I agree with Ron though. I think we've heard Jack Bech projected possibly first round. We were just talking about that, and I don't see it. But second, I could see him moving. I could see him being picked in the second or the third. I don't know if he would be first round.
Right.
It's interesting with the news today with Stephon Diggs going to the Patriots. And the Patriots picking 4th. You think they probably go O-line in that first round now rather than receiver, right? So that could kind of
or edge defender maybe.
Or
right?
edge, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Before this deal, I had them possibly going receiver early. now that they added a veteran stud like Stephon Diggs, maybe they won't pick, a receiver in the first round. So could tilt the board a little.
Everybody in the chat, let us know which receiver you want at what pick, if you don't mind. I'd really like to get everybody's take. Prince in the chat says Trey Harris would be my pick in the second round. Coach Lynn says I'm starting to lean towards Trey Harris in the second. That's what our board says we should do. But if you're asking my personal opinion, either of them are good. Either of them are okay with me. But looking at the things we've uncovered the last few days in terms of where they sit on the board in conjunction with the drop percentage and the man coverage, against man coverage, if they're both on the board, I think I'm going Jaden Higgins. I really do. Because he's got a little bit more than Trey Harris overall, in my opinion. A little bit more size, right? Obviously, the only thing that you could look at him and knock him on is the talent he played against, right? Like his opponents. Because obviously Trey Harris playing in the SEC and of course Jaden Higgins playing in the what is it again that he played in? Was it the Mountain West or what was it? Where's Iowa State at?
What's Iowa State?
Is that Sun Belt? No,
I think it's
This it doesn't even matter where it's at. This right here is the perfect answer. All of us going, where are they? What conference is that? That's it, right? So
His receiving is tough.
What do you guys? I'm starting to be more and more impressed with Pat Bryant, guys. I mean,
Yes.
that was kind of my homer. When you look at this, other than where he is on the PTA big board, this dude is in rare air. You know what I'm saying? 1.8% drop rate. And then if you look at his grade against man, I believe it's just below, if you scroll just a couple clicks down, Clay, right there, 81.5. I'll take that. I think that the guy's a true 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, let's go.
yeah, and Emilio, what we ended this with here is just trying to. There's Pat Bryant right there. By the way, some sick sleeves too. I'm just going to say it.
Captain.
Yeah, can somebody tell me what's on his shoulder right there? Is that a C? Is that what I'm seeing right there? Is that a C?
put
right
it
there?
on the board. Hold
Put it on the
on.
board.
Put it on the bird.
He's
So-
going to hate Green Bay. We pick a new one every week.
That's jeez.
Hey, you can just walk out to the 50 and say, "The hell."
I was gonna say sometimes we don't even pick them. Sometimes they pick themselves.
Yep.
So Emilio, while you're topping that in and pretending like you're listening to me,
Yep.
what we're staying in with the value now is Jaden Higgins at 54, Pat Bryant at 124, and Elijah Badger at 198. Man, Pat Bryant at 124 would be sick. What pick would that be, boys? Help me with the mathematics there. Anybody know as it's coming through? I'm going to kill a little time here and we'll just wait just a second. And bang. Oh, looky there.
Fourth round.
4. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
A round 4 pickup. Now, if we wait till round 4 to pick him, it's going to get loud. You know it is.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I think that would be a solid pick. It's crazy, too, because if I remember correctly, Jake Shavink is an alum, right, at Illinois. And I had asked him about Pat Bryant earlier in the season, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I got the vibe that he wasn't as big on Pat Bryant as most people, but he may approach it kind of like I do with Notre Dame and Kentucky. Like, I'm not going to just sit here and talk up my favorite school when, there's other prospects that are better. But, yeah, I'm with you, Jacob. Pat Bryant. You like them steals, though, baby. You like them bargain bins at the end.
That sounds like a Ross boss to me, baby.
What are you seeing over, Amelia? Anything sticking out to you with you adding that captain patch in?
Yeah, I mean he's in good company around the 127 spot, 200s, 300s, and last year he turned it up. So I mean it was a good time. The only one that has him on the board though is 33rd team, so he's not on Dane or DJ's boards yet. I think that there's just so much depth in the wide receiver market that in the draft that you can find something later on. You don't need to pay that 5th-year option, that high dollar in the first round. Go ahead and just get him on a 4-year deal and move forward with it. I mean, we've done it 3, 4, 5 times. Our whole wide receiver room is on the 4-year deal train. Why would we switch it up now? I mean, it's been working. I know that everyone's mad. If you want to go get a number 1 wide receiver, trade up and get Travis Hunter. I mean,
right.
You got a guy that fills both your needs, that wide receiver, and you need a backup quarterback, or you put him out in dime package. He's there. Like that's if you really want a number 1 wide receiver, do that for me.
Yeah. Emilio coming in here a little saucy tonight.
Oh,
Y'all
dude,
picking up on that?
That was caliente, my friend.
We must have had to change the blades on the mower today. That's
yeah.
bad.
Oh yeah. It was tough morning. Loaded up the wrong mulch in the trailer, and it was,
Hey, listen, it happens to
How
everybody.
dare you?
Emilio, listen, no worries, dude. You kidding me? I just shelled out $6,000 for a fireplace. Came home, it's the wrong size, and it's dinged all to hell.
yep.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Yep.
Get ready to go.
That's what I said. And they said, so would you like to keep it here? I went, no, get it ready to go. Get it the heck out of my house.
Get ready to go.
So anyway, so a couple in here. Hit the chats for me. The guys that are mentioning, guys and gals that are mentioning their favorite wide receivers. Jacob, read it to me.
Yeah, sure.
Prince back up there. He was talking about Dante Thornton out of
Deontay Thornton.
Or
Yeah.
is it Deontay?
I don't know.
I think it's Dante. If it's
Dante Thornton Jr.
Right here.
out of Tennessee, graded out at an 80.2 last year. I think he would be a viable option beyond the fourth round. I don't know where's Dante Thornton on our board.
275.
Okay,
Yeah, he's fairly low on
so
our
that would be fourth
But
round.
has a -5 RAS, Tim. So good eye.
Yep.
Yeah. And in terms of drop percentage, like Jacob said, anything below 8% deemed good. He's sitting at 7.1% drop rate. He's 38th in that category, but still not horrible in that regard. And then they've also got him 36th against man coverage at a 68.9. He's not one of my favorite prospects, but boy, he's a physical freak. There's no two ways about that. Go ahead, Jacob. Next one.
Deadfish says, I'd like Jay Higgins at 54. I'd be okay with Harris there too. If they don't have a wide receiver pick by 159, take Badger. I'd like them to take only one wide receiver, but with the value in this draft, I'd be okay with two. Mr. Coach Len comes in and says, Torrey Horton in the third or fourth. He's good with that as well. Andy Monday says we should trade with Baltimore from 54 to 59. They'll give us 129, giving us another pick to either stay in that second round area there and make a pick. Otherwise, they give us an extra one to do in the late third, early fourth there. I kind of agree with that. I like that. Brambo became a member for 4 months. And he just says, honestly, draft in Green Bay. We know they trade out of the first, probably. Yeah.
Get ready to go.
We're probably the only people that would be in the crowd cheering about that.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody'd run us out of there if we were actually at the draft at that moment for sure. So I had a lot of people reaching out asking, are we doing a draft show? It's amazing how many people reached out and said, I found your channel through your draft show last year. Like, we are doing a draft show. I may be alone. I may have the guys with me. They've got the freedom to run around whatever they want to do while we're in Green Bay. But I'm definitely going to be doing a show. And like Emilio said, who knows, man, if he gets a little dead, he might run over there and give us a little live stream from the show and show us the vibe there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on. I might go rover here. I might be running a little post and maybe come up into the box. I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely, man. Did you get to listen to any pods today and hear anything about wide receivers? Because I was listening to the GM Shuffle. Who's the GM on there now?
Mark Dominic.
Mark Dominic, and he was with before.
Yes.
What team? What team was he?
Bucks.
The Bucks. Okay, the Buccaneers. So did I hear him correctly? Did you listen today by chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he say Matthew Golden was his top receiver, or did he say Luther Burden? Maybe there was one of them.
LB3 was. I just texted. I had it all written out. I forgot to send the text, but LB3 he had at a 1-0, so that means anywhere from first pick to 10th pick overall. The at 2 he had T-Mac at a 1.5, so anywhere from 11 to 19. Golden was also in that 2 to 3 range with T-Mac at a 1.5, and then Ibuka was 4 at a 1.9, so anywhere from 19 to 32 or 20 to 32.
And if you look here on the information, Luther Burden, we haven't talked about him much in the last couple of days. Luther Burden is number 2 on our big board at wide receiver, only behind Ted McMillan.
Right.
His drop percentage is 4.7%. Ted McMillan's is 7.7%.
You know why they liked LB3 a lot more than Tech is because he has they say he has a lot stronger legs. He's got a lot stronger base from the waist down. He has more drive. When he gets tackled, he's falling forward. He's saying that, Tech's not afraid to go up and get the ball, right, but he's just kind of lengthy, a little bit skinny and waist down. So it's that could be something obviously he can work on. He's got the frame, but if you just don't have that drive, sometimes it never it never surfaces. But I would be the way they talk about him. I still need to watch tape, but Luther's got it.
Yeah. Again, when you hear a former GM say, "Hey, that's my wide receiver 1," and I don't think anybody expected that either. with LB3. Like it kind of caught me off guard. Didn't he say something about him always falling forward too? Always falling forward driving.
Always 2 yards that's the hidden yardage. I mean, if you have and at his size, how can you turn that down? You're able to get positive yardage even after the catch. He's always breaking tackles. It's just, you get a big frame guy like T-Mac, you might not get that. And
the only thing that you could push back negatively in this exercise we did when it comes to Luther Burden III is he's 18th in PFF grade against man coverage at 78.8, which still isn't bad. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? That's still a solid grade. So anything else we want to hit on here at wide receiver before we move it along, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, for all of you that thought maybe Jack Bech was going to get drafted by the Packers, it's not going to happen. Daryl knows. He said that he made his intentions clear that he would rather play for the Saints or the Cowboys. So obviously, it's he's not going to go to Green Bay because that's how it works.
We just got that confirmed. I appreciate that.
We did.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
Coach Len is talking about how Burden reminds him of Greg Jennings. That's kind of a good comp.
That's a good comp.
That's a very good comp. Yeah.
Greg Jennings, listen, I know he kind of flaked out at the end and he became this dude that is like he was obsessed with just always talking about Aaron Rodgers. But that man, when he came on the scene, dude, was he a second round pick or was he later? Why do I
thought he was a second?
I think he was a second too. That dude, very, very underrated football player when he was in Green Bay. Now, he went to Minnesota and realized, wow, this sucks over here, as they had a crappy program. But he was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I always think of that game winner that Favre hit him on. It might have been his rookie year, or maybe at least a second year, against Denver in overtime. If you guys haven't seen that, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, where Mike Tirico says, unbelievable.
That's right.
Second round pick confirmed for Greg Jennings. Yep. 52nd overall, 2006 draft.
Think of the Super Bowl down the seam against Tampa. He gets nailed by Troy Polamalu, still holds on to the football, right? And then they put him in that corner route. They ran Tampa again. And I think, if I remember correctly, he told Mike, if you put anybody in the 3 and run a corner, home run. And that's exactly what happened. They threw him in the 3, and that what they mean by Tampa was they were biting down with Tampa 2 and left the corner open. When they were supposed to be running Tampa, which you guys know what Tampa 2 is, they caught Troy Polamalu peeking on the 3 when he was supposed to be covering deep right from the offensive perspective. So he bit in on a little move and just lights out. Greg Jennings in the corner. What are you grinning about over there, Amelia? What the hell's your problem, sir?
It was reminding me of that Greg Jennings video that came out with the dude that was playing Xbox. He threw it to him. He goes, Greg Jennings caught it though. He got the broken leg. He's putting the team on his back, and then Darren Sharper jumps. Oh,
look at this! One of the hardest hitting safeties in the league. Darren Sharper.
Greg
the
Jennings
best part though was at the end. People don't know why he screamed the obscenity at the end. If you pay attention to the video, one of his somebody who was in the group that he was in the party chat, his name was Gumby.
Yep.
And he left the chat and he just went, F you, Gumby. Absolutely awesome. Oh, we were so immature, man. So immature. So yeah, anybody else you want to look at on the list here before we wrap up, gents?
Can we look at Jack
Bech on the list? My bad, Tim.
What'd you say, Tim?
Can we look at Jack Bech again?
Yeah, let's look at Jack Bech again. You want to? Once again, 10th.
He's 10th. Okay.
10th. Yeah. So
6th.
He's not worthy to be drafted, but he's 10th on the PTA big board. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to drop,
good Senior Bowl too.
Yeah, he was the Senior Bowl MVP. Okay, got that one.
Drop rate of 1.6%. Is that good? High score? What does that mean?
Yeah, and again,
he had a -5 RAS.
What'd you say?
He had a -5 RAS, so he was a 9 or higher. Yep.
So maybe he is draftable. I don't know, man. Andy Monday in the chat. Listened all day to last few days pods while on the route. Now listening live. It's a good day. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Andy. You are the man. Let's see what Aggressive for UFO says here before we wrap up hour 1. He says, Clayton, I want to go D tackle, then edge. My main focus, corners and wide receivers in the later rounds. It's feeling like wide receiver. You might want to not. Again, don't even worry about it in the first round. Just kind of see if it falls right in the second and you can get either Jaden Higgins or Trey Harris. And if it don't, then go after Pat Bryant. If that don't work out, go after Elijah Badger. I I'm telling you, I'm blown away by Elijah Badger because Emilio, where's he on our board? He is in the basement, is he not? If I remember correctly, a lot. And his first name
203.
What is it?
203.
Okay, not as bad as I thought. And this is how he got to 203. PFF in 2022, 133rd at his position. Then he jumped to 107th. Then he jumped to 81st. The main thing that's bringing him down is the PFF big board had him in the 210 spot at the end of the year. Do either Tim or Jacob, y'all have access to the PFF big board to tell me where they have Elijah Badger currently, wide receiver out of Florida?
Badger is 290.
So he sank even further. Wow.
Ugh.
So it sounds like he's higher on our board than most people's then. Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Cool. That's a fun talk. So again, we've hit on wide receiver talk a lot the last few weeks, and we've done it intentionally because I wanted to get through that exercise of, okay, these guys check the box, take it to the next step. These guys check the box, take it to the next step. And now you're left with 3 or 4 that we really, really like. So that's going to do it. Go ahead, Jake.
Sorry, real quick to end round 1 here, or episode 1. Elijah Badger is about as consistent as a man can be at this position. 2022, 76-1, 2023, 76-7, 2024, 78-6. He had 863 yards, 713 yards, 806 yards. This last year, though, he averaged over 20.7 yards per reception. Hey there. And a contested catch rate of 68.8, a drop rate of 0.0. That's pretty good. Receiving grade of 81.5, yards per route run of 2.96, and a grade versus man coverage of 88.5.
He was the best guy around.
And by the way, he's trended 26% to the Green Bay Packers. The next highest are tied between the San Francisco 49ers and the Chargers at 8% each. Let's go. He's a Badger.
Also, on the scouting report, it says he glides in the sheets. That's going to do it for hour 1. We will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tim is embarrassed now, so we're ready for hour 2. Welcome into hour 2. How's everybody doing?
Listening on the pod.
Well,
sit your butt outside.
welcome them in, man. It's totally cool. All right, let's move along to the next topic here. We had a history we can hit on, but first I want to hit on a couple other things. We might get to it. Let's dive into a little topic on edge defender. So I uncovered another podcast today, and it's a Philly Eagles podcast that Greg Cosell is doing with those guys. And we got a couple of bonuses that we added to the board today. Emilio, do you remember who I texted over by chance?
That would be Nick Scorton and Braden Swinson.
He really liked Nick Scorton a lot. I wanted to play the audio for you guys, but we'd have to pull it up on the podcast. I'd have to screen record it and post it on here. So I'll just give you kind of what he said or my biggest takeaways. Did you get a chance to listen to that one, Amelia? You probably didn't.
I did not. And he was on Shamar Stewart as well, you said.
The big thing he said about Nick Scorton was his use of hands. He can it was Braden Swinson that could use his hands in the text, right, that I sent y'all. Nick Scorton was just like, this dude is a great pass rusher. He talked about him at Purdue, where he dominated. I think he led the Big Ten in sacks that year, and then he transferred over to Texas A&M. So he lined up opposite of, I believe it was A&M. He lined up opposite of Shamar Stewart, and he talked about Nick Scorton like it was one of his favorite prospects. So he's going to get the 5-point bonus on our big board. That's going to raise him up a little bit. Do you know where he's at on our board right now, by chance, Emilio? Nick Scorton. Yeah, if you'll look him up for me. And then we'll talk about Braden Swinson here in a second as well.
He is 25th.
All right, so he's now 25th on our big board. Now he's in that range for the 23rd pick. I'm just saying that if you hear of a top 30 visit with Nick Scorton, he might be on the radar. Jacob, Amelia, actually, let me start with Tim here. Tim, what do you think about Nick Scorton, bro? Do you got anything on him? How do you feel about Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M, man?
He looks pretty consistent, even going back to 2022. In 2024, he graded at 80.1 PFF grade, 28 hurries, 4 sacks, a couple bad passes. I mean, he meets a lot of the measurables and the stuff that we're looking for at the edge position. And I think he's probably versatile enough to play in this scheme in the 4-3 with Hafley. So definitely would be a guy that I could see going. If he's on the board, I would think the Packers would have to seriously think about, taking a flyer on that guy early.
Yeah, you have no idea how bad I want to hit play right now because this highlight reel is unbelievable. You know what we'll be dealing with here. So you guys go check it out on my Twitter, at Packers_access. You'll see that I tagged Greg Cosell in a tweet where he talked about Nick Scorton and Braden Swinson. Jacob, how do you feel about Nick Scorton, man? Would you be okay with him at 23, or is he not consistent enough? What do you think, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset about it. Like Tim just highlighted, the guy's got some really great skills, 80.6% pass rush grade, 74.4 run defense grade, a pass rush win rate of 17%. Had some very good games against very high quality schools. Had 28 pressures each of the last of those 2024 and 2023 campaigns. So the sacks and the hurries, or I'm sorry, sacks and hits were a little bit left to be desired. But I mean, he does seem like an athletic, physical freak. It does talk about too how he is such a size and versatility that he could be anywhere in a 3-4 defense or a 4-3. So they're saying that he may not be the exact type of playmaker that will be a high sack count type of guy, but he's the one that's going to be getting pressure and getting hurries each and every play. So,
and he's not even legal to buy a beer yet.
He can't buy a beer. He is under 21 years of age, so he does have that highlight on him. I just, again, at that area of the draft, I would probably rather go for someone with a little more bona fides and upside, but what do I know?
Yeah. Daryl in the chat says Nick Scorton is not a good pass rusher or tackler. So Greg Cosell does not know what the hell he's talking about every day. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate you, buddy. Amelia, you got anything to add to Nick Scorton?
No. I mean, I think that they were a dynamic duo together. It's a possibility. Everybody's got to be open. I think we're shooting for edge D line. I think we're kind of narrowing that down as we're looking at it. You know, wide receiver is probably not going to happen. If a corner falls, maybe. Besides that, I think we're hitting the trenches.
Got it. All right. Let's talk about Braden Swinson for a minute. If you guys will pull him up, I think his name, I want to say he has a Y in his name, maybe?
Yeah, Bradyn. Yep.
He's another guy, Tim. You tell me if I'm wrong. I have not given him the time of day whatsoever. But as I sit here on the podcast, 73.2 and 22, 81 flat and 23, 83, 3 and 24. Absolutely progressed every single year like we would like. He's played more and more games each and every year, played more and more snaps each and every year. He's progressed his snaps every year, progressed his hits every year, progressed his hurries, which capitalized in 2024. He had 43 hurries. 43.
He had 16 in 2023, so that's a huge
exactly. Pass rush grade of 90.3, run defense grade of 69.6, totally fine with that. True pass rush grade of 91.4, and get this, a pass rush win rate of 22.1.
And for all you sack obsessed fans out there, he had 9 sacks last year.
Wow.
There you go.
And this goes on. Can I really quick? It says Swinson didn't become a full-time starter until his final season, but in his current form, he shows very active hands and a good understanding of rushing the passer to yield consistently high pass rush win rates. If he continues to get stronger playing the run, he'd become a starting 3-4 edge player with an impact pass rush potential. I kind of have been selling this guy short. Like playing at LSU with that type of size and speed and that kind of production, I'm extremely interested in this dude. I don't know why I have not looked at him until right now. He's got the overall rank of PFF at 47.
Gotcha. Amelia, you got anything to add to him?
No.
All right. I got you. I know you're busy over there. Braden Swinson sits in the 85 spot on our big board. Matter of fact, let me just close this out real quick and I'll get the big board back up. And if there's anybody you want to see on it, y'all let me know. So Braden Swinson is currently in the 85 spot now. All right. PFF grade, he was 74th at his position in 23. And you guys know, I know that Tim and Jacob are reading off the PFF grade specifically. What I like to do is try to step back and go, here's where they ranked amongst all college football players at that
PFF's
position.
got him 45th out of 869 edge players.
Got it. Good stuff. So in 2023, he was 74th. In 2024, he was 41st when we took the information down. PFF Big Board had him at 149. The consensus Big Board had him at 87. And Kyle Krabs had him in the 72 spot. He's showing a RAS of 3, which means he had an 8+ RAS. And, of course, he got the Greg Cosell bonus. I'm trying to get RAS to load. Obviously, we're not the only people trying to log in here on it right now. I want to see if that's been updated at all. So
It was also yellow too, Clay. That wasn't that AI one.
Yeah, so it was probably incomplete, right? Last time we checked. So we'll see if
They're showing he had a 40 of a 4.8, so that probably is dragging him down just a little bit there. Decent 3-cone, decent shuttle. Arm length is okay, but a little bit undersized for what he's at. He's at the Shrine Bowl invite. Really, really high touted pass rusher. That's kind of what they say his bread and butter is here.
Yeah, and the one thing that I remember Greg Cosell talking about both of these guys, both Nick Scorton and Braden Swinson, was their ability to use power. Like when he talked about James Pierce Jr. today, the big thing that he mentioned was he's a speed demon, right? He needs to learn how to play with power. If he learns how to play with power, dude's going to be a monster. Both Scorton and Braden Swinson can play with power. Now, he talked about Shamar Stewart, and Emilio kind of teased that. He said that Shamar Stewart is everything you want in an athlete at edge. He has everything. He can play at 280, slim down to 267. He said, when you turn on the tape and you see his athletic ability, there's no way this guy's going to make it out of the top 15 is the way he talked. He said,
right.
and then he said, and he said, he needs to learn how to rush the passer. That's what he said. So he has
everything we said about Quay before we drafted him.
I would say everything. I'm trying to think of another player, LVN.
Yeah. That's a good count. Yep.
When people say, I want Shamar Stewart, I want to throw up, the funny, snarky remark of we have Shamar Stewart at home. We don't need that, right? And we're hoping LVN takes that next step, but that's really what it feels like. You guys remember LVN was just this freak, right, at the combine. So me personally, and again, if we're just trusting the board here, if we go and find our boy Shamar Stewart, you see he's in the 16th spot. According to our board, he's well worth the 23rd pick. I'm simply saying if there's another edge there like Michael Williams, I probably feel better about him than I do Shamar Stewart, to be honest with you. But when they put him up against other talent, Senior Bowl, he knocked it out of the freaking park. That makes me sway back, right? And that RAS 10, Dane Brugler has him at 9. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 27. See, that feels more right for me. When Daniel Jeremiah's initial top 50 list, having him in the 27 spot, that feels kind of the sweet spot. To me, 16 feels a little high for someone who needs to learn how to rush the passer. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, though, man. If he said if somebody gets their hands on him and they teach him how to rush the passer, he's going to be something very, very special. So anything else to add to Shamar Stewart or any of the other edge defenders you guys want to maybe hit on here before we move it along?
I think Jacob had one start in the chat here. Yeah, from Coach Len. Mm-hmm. Would you rather draft Swinson or Birch if you had the choice?
Great.
That's a really good question.
Let's see here. Braden Swinson, we've got in the 85 spot, right? Remember that 85. We got Jordan Birch at 60, so significantly higher. Now, keep in mind that we did meet with Nick Scorton. Did we meet with Braden Swinson too? Emilio, can you?
We met with what was the other A&M guy?
Yeah, Braden Swinson does have the cheese.
Okay, so we already met with Braden Swinson. I think we met with Scorton. Maybe we didn't meet with Scorton. Did we meet?
Didn't we meet with Stewart? We met with Shamar Stewart, right?
Yeah, top 30. Yeah, it's top 32.
Scorton just is a fit. He's got the hard eyes.
Okay, gotcha. So we actually have not met with him yet then. Got it. Okay, so at 60, Jordan Birch will be hands down better than Swinson according to our board. We haven't met with him yet. He was at the Senior Bowl. Here's how Jordan Birch stacks up. 210th at his position, then he jumped to 189, then he jumped to 93. So, Jacob, PFF wasn't very high on him, right? Like they probably had a lower grade on him.
It wasn't terrible. He's basically another steady Eddie. 2022, 72.4. 2023, 73.1. 2024, 77.6. So we saw the progression. Pass rush win rate is 15.7%. True pass rush win grade of 86.8. A pass rush grade of 81.3. Run defense grade is 68.1. Not great against the run with a 2.9% run stop rate, but 10 sacks this last year, 20 hurries. Played predominantly over tackle or outside tackle, only one snap at A gap, 21 at B gap. I don't hate the pick there, but I just don't. I personally would rather have Braden, I think.
Yeah, got it. All right, cool. Jordan Birch, obviously sticking to the board. He would be my pick, Coach Lynn. And let's see here. PFF Big Board had him at 57 at the end of the year. Consensus Big Board had him 66. Daniel Jeremiah had him 35th on his initial top 50. 33rd team had him in the 69 spot, and Dane Brugler had him at 51. It's in yellow, meaning it wasn't in stone, but the RAS was tracking to be a 9+ for Jordan Birch.
Unfortunately, he's not a good pass rusher, though. So,
got it. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, well, hell, take him off the board. There we go.
Heard it from a fan right here.
I like this. Respect Orange says AFM definitely interested in the sacks.
jeez. All right. I see what you guys did there. Manscaped.
Right. So, any other edge defenders? Actually, there's another bit of news that dropped earlier today. Ian Rappaport put a tweet out. I want to ask your all's take on it. He said Louisville edge defender Ashton Galat. Do we know how to say his name?
I don't, but I want to know how.
I think Galat's pretty accurate.
I think so.
I thought it was like
Till we hear otherwise.
Iote.
We'll say Galat. A name that is already generating buzz as we get closer to the NFL draft. Ran a blazing 4.63 40-yard dash at his pro day in front of representatives from all 32 NFL clubs. Can you guys look up his measurements? I want to know his height, weight, all that.
6'3", 275 pounds.
275 at 4'6". That is wild. So let's see where we got him on the board.
Bro,
what do you think about? Go ahead, Jacob.
I'm just sorry. Again, another guy that just jumps off the page here. 2022, 70.7. 2023, 85.8. 2024, 87.8. Played 12, 14, and then 12 games. Had over almost 600 snaps. Yeah, well over 600 snaps the last 2 years. He had decent sack production, 9 in 2023, 5 in this last year. Had 11 hits this last year, 7 in 2023. But look at this, guys. In 2024, he had 41 hits. In 2023, he had 42 hits. He played predominantly over tackle and outside the tackle. He's a pass rush grade of 89.9. That'll do. Run defense grade, 78 flat. A true pass rush grade of 90.9 with a pass rush win rate of 20.9. Okay. On top of a run stop rate of 6.9. I mean, this dude is jumping off the page right now.
Good stuff. So on our board, we had him, like I said, in the 55 spot. So this is a dude that might be, let's say that you don't have the edge defender you like there at 23. Let's say they do go wide receiver at 23. Like we said, we hope they don't, right? Let's say they go wide receiver at 23 and you come back and try to get an edge defender at 54. This might be someone in that range. 280th at this position. He jumped all the way to 29th, then jumped on up to 26. The PFF Big Board had him at 40. Consensus Big Board had him at 86. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 42 spot. So what?
He's falling on PFF's board then.
Yep.
He's at
Where's he at now?
113 right now.
Wow.
86.
Why do you think he fell, boys? What do you think? Watch him jump back up now that he ran this 40, right? It's just amazing.
So is he maybe just a little undersized?
6'2" is kind of right below that threshold that the Packers like, I believe. So that might be the case, Jake. Might be. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the heart emojis. I put that up there so we could get an idea of the guys that were in that ballpark, right? Of, hey, these are the guys that are kind of in that range that look like they would fit the athletic threshold for the Packers. We're going to get you a updated version of that definitely before the draft, where we're going to remove it all, and anybody that you have that emoji next to, slam dunk, that's a fit. That's a fit.
This could be incorrect, but Daryl actually coming in with some good knowledge here. Gielte or whatever is apparently pronounced gelati. Gelati,
really?
He likes the gabagool, apparently.
The gabagool. Emilio, that's your people over there.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I thought it was going to be Gillette, like the best a man can get. I know Jacob uses that.
No, I don't. Hey, by the way,
real
I want
question
a side
is,
salad.
what does Buckets Goldenberg use?
He used a machete. Let's be honest.
Seriously.
Oh, God.
Buckets Goldenberg shaved with chainsaws. Yeah.
It was dull. Yeah, dull on both ends.
Daniel he used a rock that he filed down. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 42 spot. Not not Buckets Goldenberg or Gillette. He had Gelati. What was it again?
Galati.
33rd team had him in the 55 spot, and then Dane Brugler had him at 71. We were showing a 9+ RAS, but it wasn't final at the time that we gathered that.
I
And by
got
the
an
way,
edge that I'd like to take in the first round if we're talking about an edge in the first round.
let's hear it, Tim.
I don't even know how to say his name, but he went to Ole Miss. He went to Ole Miss. Yeah,
Jared
Princely.
Ivey? Oh,
No, Princely.
You mean Yellen?
Yeah, there.
You
God
know.
bless you. Yeah, Princely
Princely.
Monomelian. Is that how you say it?
Mhm. I don't know,
Sure.
Tim. We think we're professional over here. or something?
I'm just saying. I'd probably take him over Gelato or Gelati, whatever.
Gelato.
Jesus. Oh wow, yeah, Tim.
Where's Princely on our board?
We got Princely in the 56 spot. Now,
Okay.
listen, PFF is off the charts in 2024. He had a down year in 2023, though, according to PFF. The PFF big board had him at 37. The consensus big board had him 38. 33rd team had him 53. The main thing that's bringing him down, though, is Dane Brugler had him at 75, and he was showing an 8+ RAS. What do you got there, Jacob? You seem like you were clamoring over him there for a second.
Well, I mean,
Oh, by the way, let me say this. The Packers did meet with him, and it looks like he meets the athletic threshold, too. So.
okay.
Nice.
So they've seen a 6'4", 6'3", maybe at the shortest around 255. Like you just said, Clayton, this last year in 2024, the guy absolutely balled out. 91.1 grade, 12 games played, almost 500 snaps, 11 sacks, 16 hits, 28 hurries, predominantly outside tackle, pass rush grade at 91.5, run defense grade at 78.7, a true pass rush grade at 90.9, and a pass rush win rate of 22.8. with a run stop grade of 8.6, had the best game of the season against somebody named the Georgia Bulldogs. Have you heard of them? 93.7 grade, never graded underneath a 60 other than at LSU with a 59.4. Otherwise, the lowest grade of the whole year was basically a 70. Most of it lives in the high 70s, lower 80s, and sometimes in the 90s. That dude, color me intrigued quite a lot. 22.9 years of age, whatever, I can look past that.
Looking back here, Braden Swenson's RAS is still incomplete. And Nick Scorton, if I can find it, is also, I think, hold on just a second, almost there. Nick Scorton is incomplete as well. So
this is another one, though, that's kind of tough because that Ole Miss line, guys, we're looking at guys like Princely. We're looking at Jared Ivey on the other side. We got Walter Nolan in the middle. I mean, you got Chris Paul at the linebacker. You got Amos as cornerback. Like, which one of these guys actually is pulling that defense? You know what I'm saying?
who's paying the NIL down there?
Yes, what's up, dude?
I gotta get him to adopt me as a nephew or something, man. My gosh, that's crazy. Like we talked about it, Tim. Remember we did the college football podcast there in the off season, getting ready for the draft coming up and everything. And it was just like going into college football last year. You looked at it, all the projected potential draft picks going in the NFL from Ole Miss, and it's like they are loaded. Like they recruited their butts off, no doubt about it, man.
For sure.
Christopher in the chat says Bucky Brooks has Green Bay taking a cornerback out of Michigan. Called him a ball hawk. Where is this player rating? Is he talking about our Will Johnson?
Yeah, Will Johnson. That's it.
Will. Top 10.
He's in the hospital.
So Will Johnson is not on our big board, Christopher. I mean, he's a stud. There's no two ways about it. Outside corner, very long frame. He fits the athletic threshold, in the early testing anyway. The big thing for us, though, and why we were concerned about him, you see these two red boxes here, if I can zoom in a little bit. That means he was hurt in 23, significant injuries, and then in 24, significant injuries as well. We haven't been able to get an RAS. That was projected RAS based off of what he had done in the past and the tape and everything. But he's just been banged up, and that's our only knock. If you remove all the injury concerns, I think everybody here would agree. Yeah, PFF Big Board had him at 6. Consensus Big Board had him at 6. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 12. Kyle Krabs had him in the number 2 spot, and Dane Brugler had him at 13. But it's just the injury concerns for me, man. And injuries will make a top 10 player fall. to a spot like 23. And the question is, do you want to take him there? Do you want to take a chance on a player that might be injured? So
not in the first round.
That's tough,
Right?
Tim. I mean, am I going to give him the 5th-year option? Yeah, I guess it gives you an out if you take the injured guy and you get an extra year with it.
Jacob, would you like to say that to the class here before you leave, sir?
No. Everybody have a great night. Go Pack, go. I'll see you tomorrow evening.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night.
Absolutely.
He's so full of crap, man. All right,
Jacob Goldenberg.
what do y'all think about that? Could you talk yourself into to Will Johnson at 23 if Jahdae Barron's already gone, and hands down he's the best prospect on the board? And Will Johnson, he's the best corner. Like, seriously, if he's there at 23, there's a good chance that he's the only one there, right? That you go, man, this makes all the sense in the world.
Right. Yeah, if he falls to us at 23, I think you almost have to take him. But I think if not, they're going to probably be searching the trenches. I'm not mad at it though. He's an inside, outside, versatile kind of corner. But specifically on the outside, I wouldn't be mad.
Tim,
I mean, I'd be mad in general if we took a corner in the first round. Maybe that's
right.
just my Jair bias and my bias of wanting to beef up the D line. So that being said, though, if he's on the board and he's the best available, yeah, I mean, you guys make a valid argument. Maybe it's something different. Most guys get hurt after we draft them. So maybe he's got all the injuries out of the way before he comes to the NFL. So, it could do worse.
Make no two ways about it. If the Packers end up drafting it means they vetted enough to be comfortable saying, all right, the injuries he sustained up to this point will have no bearing on his future. Right.
But see, they said that last year about Marshawn Lloyd, and we saw Marshawn Lloyd not play any football last year. He had a hamstring issue coming out of USC.
So you're talking about third round pick, though, right?
Third round, right. So not first round, but I'm just saying we've heard that before, that their injury concerns nothing to worry about, and then the guy misses 90% of the year. So
very true.
Good point. Greg Rice says it was a shoulder injury suffered during a tackle in September 2024, causing him to miss time early in the season. Turf toe, tore ligaments in his toe in October of 2024, which sidelined him for several months and prevented him from participating in the NFL Scouting Combine. Then he had a hamstring injury suffered in early 2025 while training, which kept him out of Michigan's Pro Day in March. That's tough, man.
Wow, so that's recent, the hamstring.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. And here we go. He plans to hold a private workout on April 14th, just before the draft, to showcase his recovery and skills. There you go. That might answer the question, right?
Right.
Still, though, Emilio, in the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking, it'd be different if it was one injury, two injury, even three. You're talking about 4 or 5 different types of injuries, right?
Yeah, and the way the turf toe is, man, I just wouldn't. That is just not fun.
So
that's that's not something I would want to know, that possibility of reoccurring. Though he's one of those guys where you wouldn't even waste a top 30 on him, because there's almost no shot he falls to you. And if he does, you're like, well, what are we doing? Are we going to run this card up right now, or what? He's screaming at us at the top of the board. If you're looking at the horizontal, once we get to it, he would be at the top. He'd be at the tippy top. So if Travis Hunter wasn't there, he'd be right next.
We'll step into the kitchen and get some more wings and pizza, and Tim will just take him off the board while we're not looking.
Yeah.
Like, now he's
just slide it off to the side.
Exactly. Appreciate that information, Greg and Ron. You guys are awesome, man. Thank y'all so much. SDM40 says, you guys see Sims wide receiver ranking. You got Travis Hunter 1, then you got K. Williams. Who's K. Williams? Kyle Williams? Is that who the hell is he talking about? K.
Let's see. Savion Williams.
Savion Williams would be number 2. Is that what he's saying?
Wait, who's K. Williams?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams.
Yeah, but Kyle Williams is way down, right, Emilio? Yep. I just sorted the board on you. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh, you're good.
I was going to pull it up by wide receiver real quick and just take a quick glance here.
He's way down, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So who would K. Williams be?
Kyle Williams.
It would have to be, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got him way down the board, bro. Holy cow. I mean, he was 253rd at his position, then 389th, and then 64th this year. PFF Big Board had him at 152. Consensus Big Board had him 147. Senior Bowl, he did ball out at the Senior Bowl. It looks like, right?
Yep. And he's coming off his best season too.
That's true, but yeah,
almost
man, that's
1,200 yards.
crazy high for him. So we disagree with that one, I believe, right?
This is in Sims. This is Chris Sims, right?
Yeah, he does get a little.
Yeah.
He smokes a lot of pot too. Just being real here. I'm thinking he might get hashed up and say, "Hey, let me put a list together for the show tomorrow."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So Travis Hunter, that checks out. Kyle Williams, somebody's on crack, right? I need the crackhead drop there, Tim. Any chance you get? Then we got T-Mac third, which you guys know we've got Tet as the top receiver because we got our boy Travis Hunter listed as a corner on our board. So Travis Hunter would definitely be above Tet McMillan, hands down, right?
Yeah. And Kyle Williams.
Yeah.
All of these guys would be above Kyle Williams.
Yeah. So then we got Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden, and then Trey Harris, who Chris Sims has fourth on his list, right? Or fifth. Could be a crackhead. And then he's got Jalen Noel above Trey Harris.
They got hold to the wrong stuff.
Right. And we got Jalen Noel significantly lower. However, Jalen Noel did meet with the Packers, which these receivers did. I don't know, Emilio. Does that seem? What do you think about that ranking there, dude?
After listening to Mark Dominic and the other guys, that's the first time I've heard Williams in any sort of top 5, top 10 kind of ranking. I feel like there's just so much more talent ahead of him that's not getting that kind of talk, but is definitely I would put ahead of Mr. Williams there. There's just too much there, honestly.
Gotcha. And I don't think Jalen Noel's a bad receiver. It's just there's just too many people.
Right. Him. No, and that's where we fall back to why are we going to reach on the first round just to get a guy, pay him that extra money when you probably have 3 or 4 in a cluster right there that you'd be happy with. It would be one of those where you might trade back and do those kind of little things. If there's 3 of those options, one gets pulled, you only went back 2 spots, you're still good.
Yeah, that's a great point. H.E. Solder said, "Is there a player that is not a position of that is rated too high to pass if they are there at 23? Ashton Gianti or Ty Warren come to mind." Yeah, if either of those guys are there at 23, it'd be hard to pass.
I would be shocked if Gianti makes it out of the 10 picks into the draft. Yeah,
we got a negative 6.2 on him. Understand, guys, that's like he's one tier higher than Travis Hunter.
Right.
And then it's basically in his own tier as Ashton Gianti. And then you have Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. And then you have, let me count it off here for you. Then you got Mason Graham and Cam Ward in the next tier. Then we got Ty Warren and Tet McMillan in the next tier. And then it goes into that's where it really starts to trickle down. You get bigger clusters. So
right.
If Ashton Gianti was there at 23 or Ty Warren was there at 23, run the card up. I don't care what anybody says. Let Goody just go lock your door so the fans can't get to you in your office and just make the pick. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? And do you guys have 1 or 2 that you might think that's another one I would do? The value's too good.
Yeah. I mean, according to our board, you're spot on. I think it would just be Ashton or Warren if we're talking about a position not of need, or that is thought of highly. If we're also doing that, I would pull Mr. Jihad Campbell.
Yep.
I would say that would be a pull if we're specifically picking from those, second, third tier of positions.
I see it. One that comes to mind for me is Malachi Starks out of Georgia.
You guys keep taking all of mine.
I'm sorry, Tim.
Out of my brain, man.
I didn't even give you a chance to
Julio took one, and now you took my other one. I have no input.
Tim's going to reach into the 60s for us just to get us a new name.
Tell me why you would be okay with Malachi Starks there, Tim. Like, because, we're loaded at safety already, but still, if the value is too good, and we got him in the 20 spot. I don't think the value is great there that you can't pass it up at 23, but there may be some people, let's assume that they've got him in the top 5 or top 10, right?
Yep. I'm just going to say, I agree. I mean, safety room is pretty deep, right? But we saw what happened when Edmund Williams got hurt last year.
Yep.
And we gotta look at Javon Bullard playing back there. And so I think, it's not crazy to add depth into the safety room as you grind through a long NFL season. That being said, I don't think we're going to take a safety in the early rounds or anything, but yeah, Malachi Starks was one of the first names I thought of. And then, of course, Emilio took my Jahad Campbell. That was the other guy I thought of as well. So I think we're all on the same page here, but it's a good question to really think about,
Right.
Put so much emphasis on what we want and position groups, all these things, but it's like, we have no idea how the board's going to start falling on draft day. So got to be ready.
Tim, I think it was DJ that was saying everybody that has talked about or talked to Malachi Starks absolutely fell in love with the guy. Like he is the way he handles himself, his football IQ, the way he's able to break down his own film, the tape, all of those things coming from, a good, great program. You imagine if we had him and Bull back there, or just
load it up.
Yeah, or rotating into the slot even.
Yep. And they said that's what that was it too, Tim. They said that he's a lot more bendy, a lot more flexible to be able to play in the slot than it would be like Emanwari kind of from South Carolina. You'd get a lot more out of Starks in the slot than you would just because he's a little bit more tight in the hip, stiff. Emanwari is.
Yeah, and when you look at the safety position, the way we got it right now, and I know we haven't talked safety a lot, but it's important to understand where these players sit because even though we may not see it as a need, it's going to help shape the board and help shape draft night. Malachi Starks is in the 20 spot, and then you go down and it's Xavier Watts at 35 out of Notre Dame. Then you've got Nick Emanwari. Many people probably have Nick Emanwari over top of Xavier Watts, right? But on our board,
from what I've heard,
yeah, we've got Watts and then Emanwari. He scored a perfect 10, right? I think did you just mention that, Emilio?
No, I didn't. But yes, he's a physical freak. He's just a little bit stiffer, in the slot type area.
Gotcha. So you got 3 borderline first round picks at safety. Now I think that one will probably go in the first round and the other 2 will end up in the second or the third. But then after that, as you comb down here, it drops off significantly to the 64 spot with Andrew Makuba out of Texas. So that's kind of how the safety room shakes out there. And quarterbacks, we haven't talked about a lot here lately. We've got a write-up over at our Patreon group. If you guys want to check that out, scan the QR code in the upper right. Also, we're doing a giveaway on Saturday, so make sure if you want to get your name in the hat for that giveaway, we're going to be giving away an autographed Mason Crosby card. It's got a piece of jersey on it as well. Really, really cool piece of memorabilia with him going into the Packers Hall of Fame this year. Actually, hold up a minute. Yeah, he retired. He officially retired, right? Is he going into the Hall of Fame? Am I thinking right, guys? Yeah.
No, Mark Murphy is the only inductee.
Is he the only one this year?
Yep.
So we know Mason will be in the Packer Hall of Fame, but he's definitely retiring this year. So that's already a done deal, retired as a Packer. So we're going to give that away. What we do is if you're a member of one of the 3 tiers in the Patreon group, it can be the cheapest, the $3 tier. You get a bunch of different extra content in there. A lot of different breakdowns and stuff that we've been throwing out, as well as you get access to this draft board so you can kind of comb through it yourself and see what we're talking about. And we'll put everybody's name on the pinky wheel and spin that sucker and give it away to one lucky winner. We got a lot of giveaways coming up here in draft season, a lot of stuff that we got to give away. So make sure that you get entered into that. But, yeah. Anybody else want to answer? Is there another player that comes to mind here for H.E. Soder? Do you got any parting thoughts?
Just to add to that, Campbell, the linebacker, would pull the trigger just because he came into Alabama as an edge, but they had 2 first round edge picks, and I can't even think of their 2 names. So they backed him. They basically said, "You're not going to get any playing time. We have 2 elite studs on the edge. Let's move you to stack backer," and he still crushed it. And
that's what happened to Jahad Campbell. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I did not
know that. I want to say Turner and Dallas Turner, somebody else. The 2 edges that Alabama has had that were just elite. they brought him in as a freshman, and you go, hey, I'm not going to play. Let's back him up. He's an athlete. Let's put him in a stack backer. So he can rush the passer. He can do that. He knows how to, and he's got the skills for it. It's just they asked him to be a stack backer.
Yeah. That's wild, man. Some people can you kind of get that feel with Quay when he's on. Like, he's just a freaking athlete, and he's just a football player. Like, that's how I feel about James Pierce Jr. this year, is when you watch him play, man, the way he tackles the ball carrier, he's a sticky tackler, and he's got so much burst, so much speed, just such an athlete. Like Greg Cosell said, he's sitting at like 245. He's built like a safety, but the dude can rush the passer. It's wild. If he learns how to play with power, he's going to be unbelievable. H.E. Solder in the chat says, give me Hunter Waller if they pick a safety in 2025. I think he's out of Wisconsin. Is that right, boys?
That's correct. I want to say he's on the 200s.
Yeah, we've got him a little lower, Solder. Let me explain why. And the Packers did meet with him, however, probably at the Senior Bowl, I would imagine. We got him in the 279 spot. And the main thing that's bringing him down, like in 2023, he was the 10th best safety. That's wild, because in 2024, he dropped all the way to 327th at the position. PFF Big Board had him at 185, but the consensus Big Board had him at 265 at the end of the year. We're showing a 9+ RAS. So if you removed the 2024 PFF grade and the consensus Big Board, it just went off of what PFF Big Board said and what the 2023 grade was, he'd be much higher. But we do have him in the 279 spot currently. And hopefully we'll get information from Daniel Jeremiah, Kyle Krabs, and Dane Brugler when they finalize their list. Maybe he'll creep into one of their top 100 or top 150 that we could throw up on the list as well. So there it is, SDM40, if he's confirmed here, 9.21 RAS for him. So that is a significant 5+. Anything else, gents?
One other running back other than Genty that we were talking about. You guys pulled up Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina.
Damn.
Holy crap.
You know what I heard? You know what I heard earlier, Tim? That if Genty goes before the top 10 or in the top 10, that there's a possibility the Bears are taking Hampton at 10.
Hampton. Yep. I could see it.
Here's what's crazy about him, Tim. 356th at his position in 22. Then he jumped all the way to 24th. Then he jumped to 20th. PFF Big Board had him 23. Consensus Big Board had him 52. DJ said he's 29th. Kyle Krabs said 54. Dane Brugler 36. You get the 10 or the 9+ RAS, and then look at this. Greg Cosell gave him the bonus too. Greg Cosell loved his tape, loved it. So
1,600-yard season last year, man.
Yeah,
coming off a 1,500-yard season the year before. I mean,
that's crazy.
Somebody to keep an eye on. Yep.
Yeah. All right, good deal.
So
everybody appreciate you hanging. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to get you real quick. Give me over, under, or push on these, all right? It's the average number of players drafted over the last 5 NFL drafts in the first round. This is the average number of players per position, okay? I just want
in the first round.
Yep, in the first round only, or over the past 5 years. I just want an over, under, or a push on who's getting drafted here, okay?
All right.
So we had quarterbacks on average, 4 are taken.
Push.
Oh, 4. Because last year there were 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
so
everybody
this first round of the draft, are we drafting more than 4, less than 4, or is it a push?
Talking about this year in the first round.
This year.
If I had to guess on how many quarterbacks will be taken in the first round this year, I personally think it's going to be Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck, and Jackson Dart. I think 4 this year. That's
okay. Me. Push. I like that. DJ and Buck both had him as unders on the QBs.
Did they really?
Yep. Running backs, an average of 1 is taken in the first.
Over under. I think you're going to get 2 this year. So I'm going over. I think Gianti and Omarion Hampton will probably go. I really do.
What about you, Tim? Yeah, Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I would take the over on that.
Over? Okay.
I think at least 2. Yep.
They thought the same. They also thought possibly 3 could go with either Judkins or Henderson making that as well.
Ooh,
so that's also a possibility. Okay, wide receivers. We're at 5.6. Let's round that up to 6. Do we think that we could get 6 wide receivers in this first round? Or we could even round it down to 5. Give me 5 wide receivers in the first round.
Tim, what would you do, man? Over, under, or push there? 5 wide receivers in the first
5?
round.
I'd probably push. I'd say 5. Yep.
Let's look at the board. Let me cheat. That's 2, 3. I'm gonna go under, Emilio. I'm
Under?
Yeah.
Okay, that one I believe they had him as an under as well. Just because there's so much talent on the defensive side this year, and on those fronts, I think that you only have a few options once you get past. I mean, you have LB3, T-Mac, Golden, and Buka. Buka, maybe you can work another one in there, but it's going to be tight. For offensive tackles, or I'm sorry, tight ends, 0.6 is the average in the first round.
So we're saying like over 1, right?
Over 1, yep.
Yeah, absolutely over.
Gotta
Tim, you
go.
agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think you got Ty Warren and Colston Loveland for sure.
I think we'll get 2 there, yeah. So offensive tackles averaging 5.6. Let's just go with 5. Do we think over, under, push?
Go ahead, Tim.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'll say under.
I think it's a push. Man. I think you get 5, and the 6th is off a little bit. So I'd say a push for 5.
I think I'm going to be with Tim on this one, just because I think you're going to get Will Campbell, Mimbo, and Banks is going to be hit or miss. Simmons, they said the best athlete. I think we might be under that 5 there. I think we're going to go 4. I believe they had that as an under as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, they had that as an over, I believe, for tackles. Interior O linemen averaging 1.4. So if we just get more than 1, that's tough though, because we're switching them back and forth.
Right.
You got everybody's going inside out. But if you were to just say interior O lineman from the board, I'd say we have to go over on that one. I think we'd have to go under. It's just
because it's so weird, because they're like, you'll hear it all draft night, man. It'll be whatever. The Buccaneers take tackle so and so, they're going to play him at guard. It's like, okay, which one was he, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's so tough. So
and really, the only one that we're looking at there is Booker. That I feel that I hear anything about besides moving one of those tackles inside because of short arms or whatever they think.
Yeah, and people were talking about who's the tackle, Will Campbell. Everybody's saying his arms are too short. He'll have to play guard. And then you heard Emery Hunt went off about it. He was like, I'm sick of hearing this. Like, this dude can play tackle. Like, everybody's all worried about his arm length. So,
and Ross was saying, hey, with a guy as having shorter arms, you do run into that problem sometimes. But as long as you punch, you set, you time it up right, you can get through it.
You got to come.
It's easier to get away with a hold too. Your arms are shorter.
That's it.
It's like, you got to come through me.
Right.
Through me. So that's that. At the end of the day, people forget that. And that's why wrestling backgrounds are so important with offensive line.
Hand control, dude. Hand control was crazy in wrestling. You gotta half the battles are slapping around. I mean, you're trying to figure out if you can grab the wrist, if you can grab the arm, forearm, get any sort of pull, any sort of that.
Think about that too with what Greg Cosell said about Braden Swinson. Really, really good with his hands. Just saying.
Yep.
Keep that in mind.
Defensive tackles, average of 2.
Over.
Love it, thing.
Man, that's got to be over, right?
Over. There's
let's
too much.
count it off here.
They're probably all coming off the board in the first round.
1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4, at least 4 going. What was the over-under on it?
2.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I think we're
Coach
double.
Ben said way over.
Yep.
Deion Walker won't be one of them, but
Okay.
Tim, if Deion Walker gets drafted in the first round, y'all are going to see live on camera. Tim's going to lose.
I'm going to have a party.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. He's going straight to the Oval. He can't go live.
Going straight to the fridge. That's where he's going.
Oh man.
Get him a nice daddy soda for the win. So this next one, just because they group them together, they DNs and linebackers. That's edge rushers and stack backers. They're grouping together there. The average of a 6.8. So let's go with 7 of them. Do we think over, under, or push on 7 edge and stack back?
Under.
7, right? Let's count them off. Here. You're talking about edge and linebacker, right?
Yep.
So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's close?
That's going to be.
it's going to come down to Ezaraku or Landon Jackson if they slip into the first round, right?
Yep.
To get us over.
I want to say they said over on that one, which is crazy because I think that they really are leaning into having the super defensive draft, whatever they're hearing from everybody in the know there. It's just wild to think that this. I think it's gonna be a crazy defensive heavy draft. Cornerbacks 4.4 on average. Even if we went with 4, what do we think?
All right, let's see. If we're going corner, does Travis Hunter count as a corner? Right? I hate to be that guy, but
yeah, I'd say he would be. I mean,
I think so too. So we'll go 1. Tim, what's your guess before I count them off, man? Corner.
What was the number?
4 is the number.
Push.
I like it.
I'll push. Yep.
Hold up a minute here. 4. Yeah, 4. Push. That's what I'm showing too, Tim.
Yeah,
nice.
And I want to say they went over with that one just because of like Maxwell Harrison and those kind of guys that DJ has put in his draft. He's trying to lean into that, thinking that hey, we got to stop the wide receivers that are coming in. We got to stop all that. So I think that's an option. And then safeties, they are averaging 0.6. So just the same as tight ends. If we could get one drafted in the first.
Yeah, I think Malachi Starks goes in the first.
Probably Malachi Starks. Yep.
Yeah, I do, man. And I wouldn't be surprised, not just because I like Notre Dame, the way people like Xavier Watson, his story, his background, his leadership, high quality dude. I would not be surprised if he helped Nick Emmanwori, guys.
Yeah.
A physical freak. You know how GMs are on that athletic ability. So wouldn't be surprised if one of those two guys, Xavier Watson or Nick Emmanwori, sneak into the first round too. So there you go. That's good, man. I'm glad you bring it up, bro. Any others?
No, that was it.
That's good stuff.
Glad I remembered to pull it. I had spent all the time typing it out in the text and completely forgot to send it, and then realized
you didn't get over under on long snappers in the first round.
They didn't even bring it up, Tim. I was hoping for one special teamer. Can we get like a kicker on a 5th-year option or something?
Oh man, H.E. Solder. What about kicker? I was going to say super chats and we talk kicker. Don't do it. We're out of here. All right, we're way over. Thank y'all so much. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Check out the Patreon group. I'm telling you, it's growing like a weed. I think we had it was something like 300 to 400 visits to the site in the last 2 weeks. It's been awesome, man.
If you're listening on the pod, it's in the link right there. Click it. Download it from the App Store and move forward. Just enjoy the content.
Yep. All right, everybody have a great night. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Take care.
There we go.
Bye, guys.